Hello, welcome to the Mediocre Takes podcast, the podcast where we share our mediocre takes on the shows and movies we watch. I'm Marco, and here with my co-host Mel. How are you doing, Mel?
I'm kind of cold.
It has been cold recently, especially outside, which I do not like.
Oh yeah, usually it's colder outside than in your house, Marco.
You know what I mean. It's been colder outside more than usual, you know?
Yeah.
Don't make me sound stupid during alcohol awareness month.
Okay. I'm the one with the alcoholic mother. I can be mean to whoever I want.
Okay, fine. Anyways, today we're talking about Lackadaisy, the pilot slash short film.
Speaking of alcohol, oh my
Oh my
god.
god, what a
We did it.
connection. Yeah. Yeah, today we're talking about the short film slash pilot called Lackadaisy. Let's just get into it. So, Lackadaisy takes place in the 1920s Prohibition era in the US. For those of you who are not in the US and don't know what Prohibition is, it was basically this time period where alcohol was banned. I don't know who thought that was a good idea. We follow Rocky, Freckle, and Ivy as they dig into a grave to find some alcohol when a group called the Marigold Gang finds them and a fight ensues. Eventually, the main three are able to escape due to Rocky throwing some dynamite and make it back to Lackadaisy, a speakeasy struggling to stay in business. The pilot slash short ends with Mitzi. I keep almost calling her Mitski for some reason. The current owner of the place thinking back to before Prohibition and when the place was successful. I don't really like the opening of this pilot, and I don't think we're supposed to like it, but like, man, that rhyming was terrible. I really love the art. I like how it opened with the curtain, kind of showing that this is kind of like a play or a story, you know? I like it when shows do that. Okay, so I think it's great that this pilot was able to be released in the first place, but for some reason I can't put my finger on what is telling me that this show really isn't just for me and that it wouldn't be something that I would enjoy. And I think the thing that I can't put my finger on is that it's historical fiction, and I don't really tend to enjoy historical fiction. It's literally just historical fiction but cats, you know? I don't know, I'm not a huge fan of this type of story, and it just really wasn't for me. The animation was so beautiful in the beginning, and it continues to stay beautiful throughout, and I can see why it took them 3 years to make this pilot. It's so good. The action was good, and I loved Rocky when he was throwing the dynamite randomly. These characters are so unhinged, and that's actually kind of slay. Well, kind of unhinged. I don't know, they feel unhinged to me. Except for Ivy, she seemed normal. Calvin seems like he could be an interesting character in the sense that he doesn't seem to want to be doing this work, but Rocky seems to be forcing him into it. Mordechai seems like another interesting character. There's that scene where he's about to shoot the gang in the car, but during that scene, like, the animation seems like time stops and the music stops as well. And it kind of makes me feel like there's more going on to that character than we're being let on. I feel like we need more plot instead of action because I feel like we don't get a strong enough direction to where this show is going, kind of like Hell of a Boss in the pilot episode as well. I feel like I just needed more direction. Comparing this to Hell of a Boss during the first pilot kind of was all over the place, and it seemed like it was going to be like every day there would be a murder of the week. But Hell of a Boss kind of went a different direction where like there are also more like other kind of world building type episodes or delving into people's backstories type episodes. I just kind of want to know where this pilot is going. And yeah, that's it.
So I hate Rocky. He was really annoying. Like I feel like he was meant to be an endearing theater kid, but all I wanted to do was put him down. He truly was the king of yapping.
Yeah, I agree with you. He kind of barely did anything too at the beginning. Like, I don't know, it seemed like this was his operation sometimes, but he barely did stuff. All he did was just kind of stand there while, what's his name? Calvin? What's Calvin's nickname again?
Freckles.
Freckle. Yeah, Freckle. It seemed like Calvin slash Freckles and Ivy were just doing most of the stuff, and it felt kind of awkward when he was like flirting with Ivy too. I don't know, especially when it seemed like Freckles and Ivy were like supposed to be the main pair. Also, I feel like there was this weird tone shift between what like his character was seeming to be, and then he just suddenly kind of went crazy during the fight scene. He just like kind of laughed maniacally and left his two friends there to die. You know? That's all.
Yeah. What I did love was how charming the antagonists were. Yeah, they seemed like such fun characters that I was actually pretty interested in. Like, I started to become more interested in the antagonists than like our protagonists. So, like, back to Rocky. Is he supposed to be like half raccoon? Because truly, that would be the only explanation for his behavior. That was the only thing I could think of is like, in what world is, because I know that cats are chaotic at times, but the way that man was acting, I was like, he has to be mixed with something. And my headcanon is he's half raccoon. And during the like shootout or whatever in the barn, when Freckles asked if they had a gun and Ivy responded with, there's always one wedged in the seats. That is some gun safety I'd expect in the era this is set in. And also, I guess the era that we're in now as well. Also, I don't understand why they were hating on my boy JJ at the end. He was literally perfect.
Overall, I think this is a decent pilot. I feel like it could have had a better direction at the end. I feel like if there was less fighting and more actual plot, we would have gotten like something special. But I can also see this going in a more action-centered direction if that's what they're actually going for. Yeah, I thought it was fine. It just didn't seem like something I personally will continue watching just because it doesn't really pique my interest.
Here's what's tough about stories like this. You need a Rocky type character to get the group into a kerfuffle. The only issue with that is the Rocky characters make the story in general almost unbearable to get through. And that sucks because for me to like the story, the other characters need to be extremely interesting and overpower how annoying the Rocky character is. I think that for this pilot, the other characters like just did it for me. But I here's what sucks is they set up so many things where it's like you're interested in what is going on with this one character, but I really hate Rocky, and I genuinely don't think they could do anything to him that would make me like him enough to continue watching this. But it was a very good pilot. Well, it's time to put all that theater kid energy behind us because it is time for the Mediocre Minute. This is a tiny little micro moment where me and Marco recommend books, comics, music, games, and more for you all to check out. My recommendation is the album Mordechai by Khruangbin. Really, I wanted to recommend something with the exact opposite vibes of this pilot, and I think this album is exactly that. My favorite songs on it have to be First Class and Pelota. Marco, what is your recommendation?
My recommendation is a book called Paper Wishes. This takes place during. Do I know history? No, it takes place during one of the world wars where white people were basically like, hey, let's put Asian people into these internment camps. And it follows one girl who's put into this internment camp, and it's about her basically like being traumatized by this. She becomes mute for a while. It's about her like trying to survive through this. It's kind of hard to read, but I feel like it's an important part of history and that we should learn about it. So yeah, that's my recommendation. Anyways, you guys, that's our thoughts on Lackadaisy. If you want to send us a voice message on Spotify for podcasters, there'll be a link in the description to do so below. Also, Instagram, Twitter, TikTok, and Threads, which are at MyTakesPod, and it's everything. So, goodbye. Wait, no, don't stop recording. We're going to record after this. I forgot. Okay.